So I have been meaning to make this video for months. I've been meaning to make this video ever since November, actually. Um, life has life has been tough since then. Um, life has been tough for pretty much all of us this past year. Well, what this video is about is the reasons why I knew not to vote for Donald Trump. And I think that this explanation is needed. When you really think about it, the red flags were right there all along, and they were pretty obvious to me. But somehow they were not so obvious to everyone else, and there's people out there who still have those Trump flags on their walls or on those posters on their lawns. Like why? It seemed like back in 2015 and 2016 there were countless reasons, but for me, I will highlight like six reasons why I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I left the Republican Party in 2015 because Donald Trump was steamrolling one candidate right after the other, and I did not like any of them anyway. But he was steamrolling one right after the other. I was amazed that he was doing it. Well, there's how he talked about women, how he talked about the free press, the Central Park Five, praising the loyalty of his followers even if he were a murderer, and saying, so what if Putin's a murderer? We are the murderers. We are murderers. As if that's not wrong. And climate change denialism. Okay, let's get into this. How he talked about women. Okay, Hollywood Access 5 tapes. Hollywood Access Live tapes. And backstage and all that. It just seems like on the right, like, okay, the Democrats, they're not really left, but the Democrats at least, they remove candidates over sexist allegations. I mean, they have this integrity that they want to maintain. That just doesn't seem to be the case with the Republicans. I mean, like, perhaps it's cultural differences. I mean, like, the Republican Party is dominated by the evangelicals. Perhaps the evangelicals are a very sexist circle. I mean, we know how women are talked about in the Bible. We've heard Rush Limbaugh mock the idea of consent. Maybe this does not seem important to the viewers I'm trying to talk to here, but y'all got a sexist problem. Look into it. Look into, while you're at it, look into how Donald Trump was backstage at Miss America pageant. I mean, just because she's showing off her body doesn't mean you can touch her. You have to ask. He says, oh, I'm rich, they let me do it. Ask consent. How he talks about the free press. I personally, I like NPR because I do not like these shows like getting people to argue for ratings. If you watch Fox News, you're less informed than even people who don't watch any news, because they cover stories like someone doing dog shampoo instead of the big story at the time. Um, CNN is not much better, but at least CNN tries to cover stories. And the reaction that I saw to Donald Trump, I mean, for any other candidate, it was like they're like, "Oh, I don't like what the press is saying about me, but what can I do about it?" Donald Trump, he just goes on a full warpath, and yep, that really turned me off. But everyone else around him, they're like joined in, like lying press, lying press. That's what the Nazis did. It's right in our Constitution. Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech! I saw him as un-American. Okay, let's move on. Central Park 5. Okay, this happened decades ago. But this was a very important story. Some teenage boys were arrested with rape allegations against them, but they were just arrested. They were not real suspects. They were just in the park. And in the park where the rape happened. And the police were like, they forced a confession out of them. And this happens all the time. And since this happens all the time, these happen to be black boys, by the way. That's an important detail to pay attention to. Since the police force confessions out of people all the time, that should lower your confidence in the police. That should lower your confidence in the judicial system. There are innocent people who were tricked into confessing because they thought that if they confessed a little bit, they would get out of being, I mean, this is the way teenagers think, but they thought they'd get out of something even worse. They weren't guilty at all. And it later, like, turns out they weren't guilty at all, even though they confessed. When the police arrested these 5 boys, Donald Trump bought out of a page of a newspaper and called for the death penalty. Come on, let's get rid of the death penalty because we know innocent people are being killed by the death penalty. It is a murderer, so we should get rid of it. And when they were exonerated through DNA evidence, years later, he didn't change his mind on this. He didn't apologize or anything. He doubled down. He's like, "Oh, they're guilty of something." He's an evil man. Do you want an evil man to represent you? Okay. Then there was this like one incident where he said, "You know what? Donald Trump supporters are the best. I could be on the corner of 5th and Broadway in broad daylight and shoot someone. And you would all still support me." He proved himself right. Okay, maybe like other political candidates could do the same thing. He said it. That really turned me off about him. That was one of 6 things in particular that turned me off about him. Then in a interview with Bill O'Reilly, Bill O'Reilly's like, "But Putin's a murderer," and he says, "And you think we're so innocent? We're murderers too." Yeah, drone strike and all that. Okay, it's like he doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. He doesn't think there's anything wrong with killing people in other countries or even killing people in your own country. He didn't think it was wrong to execute the Central Park 5 who were innocent. He doesn't care. He's a sociopath. And he's building up this sociopathy in his own base. Um, yes, that really rubbed me the wrong way. I totally admit this is what the Clintons did. This is what Obama did. This is what Biden is doing right now. We should stop. We shouldn't be allies with Saudi Arabia. Fuck Saudi Arabia. We shouldn't be murderers. I wanted Ron Paul for that reason. Now, today I don't really like Ron Paul anymore. That could be his whole other video someday. But yeah, he took it to the next level. Obama was a murderer. Now he's saying the quiet part loud, as if he wants to continue it, which he did. He did. He still had us in wars in other countries. He said he would take us out of that. He didn't. He just he was like severing alliances, and that was about it. But he was still active in that, and still killing people who try to come here because their own countries are being ruined by our economic policies. Which I can make a whole video on that too, but people have already made videos on that. Okay. And the final of the 6 reasons, climate change denialism. Whenever I vote, the first thing I check is their position on climate change. And if they just outright deny it's happening, I don't vote for them. Donald Trump takes it to an extreme. I'm like, just he outright would be mocking the science behind this, and he has led the Republican Party into this mocking. He didn't seem to like understand. Like he was just like mocking his hair. If his hairspray can get outside, of course it can get outside. But that's just like just one can of hairspray. Yes, it doesn't make a difference at all. But his position on coal and his position on pipelines, it was very unnuanced. It's like at least everyone else, like they try to make a scientific explanation. He just outright mocks the idea of science itself. What good is there in that, really? Mocking intellect. Oh yes, bonus reasons. His calls to build the walls. The wall really wouldn't do anything. I mean, like, it's because people are overstaying their visas that there's undocumented immigration. They can go around the wall. The wall is just a monument to racism. And that was coming along before he ran for president. Then there was when he was in front of a white crowd in the Midwest somewhere. He promised to the black neighborhoods more police. He's not listening to the black community. He said, "Oh, it's a lie from the Democrats that they're trying to trick you." No, black people were saying this themselves. They speak for themselves. Now, ever since he's been elected, I mean, like, he started by promising he'd pardon Sheriff Joe Arpaio, racist sheriff from Arizona, who was just doing his job. No. He was racially profiling, and the statistics were amazing. This guy did not deserve a pardon. This guy was considered cruel. by pretty much any regime anywhere in the world. Very un-American, denying people their rights. And Donald Trump pardoned him. First guy Donald Trump pardoned. Then, near the end of his presidency, Donald Trump pardoned those guys from Blackwater who panicked and killed civilians, including children, in a traffic circle in Iraq. I wonder if that is why he ran in the first place. If it was all to get to that pardon at the end of his presidency. Because his friends like Betsy DeVos, who's like a sister of some of the people who put together Blackwater, was that what it was all about. Those guys did not deserve pardons. When you start piling those pardons on to our justice system, you compromise the integrity of our country. Very, very un-American. And yet he wanted the innocent, the Central Park Five, to be killed. Perhaps because they're black. I will be trying to make more videos. I'll try at least once a month. You all deserve this explanation. And with this in mind, I will continue to wonder why. Like, these American values that I was raised with, and I became a Republican myself. Donald Trump is not the embodiment of them.